Hey guys, in this lecture we will review the functionality of implementing the Remember Me checkbox that is very common in the login forms. The purpose of this checkbox is that once the user logs in, next time they run the application, they do not need to re-log in if there is a saved information about that user's identity in their login. So to get started, let's add a checkbox to our login form, and in here we're reusing exactly the same login form that is from the previous lecture. We will just improve upon it to implement this Remember Me functionality. So for this checkbox, change the label to Remember Me. And let's set up data binding for the checkbox. So click on the logic and the checked state logic. Let's call that property Remember Me. The way this checked state logic works is that when the checkbox is checked, then Remember Me property will have the true value, and if it is not checked, it's going to be false. Let's go into the login logic by selecting the login button and clicking the logic icon. And in here, take a look at the login user block. As you can see, there is stay logged in connector, and then the parameter is either true or false, or we can pass in the value of the property that comes from that checkbox. So let's make a copy of this guy, connect it here, and change the property to Remember Me. What will happen when Remember Me is true? Then this block right here will do some magic on the client side where the user information will be persisted, which means that next time we reload this page, we should be able to check if there is already a current user, if there is already a logged in user. And if there is, then we do not need to show the login form. So what we are going to do is let's create a new page and call it user logged in page. And in this page, let's set up the data binding for the title where we can actually greet the user by name. So select the title, click the logic icon, and for the content logic, let's set up the property greeting. Go back to the page, select the actual page, and go to the logic for the page. And then in the on page enter, what we can do is this. In the logic, we will do if, and then the comparison, and get the current user. It's actually in the user's API. So if get current user is not null, and null is going to be under logic, then we want to set the property in page data, and the property name is going to be greeting. And then the value of it is going to be a composite text where the first part says hello, and then the second part will be a property from the user object, from this get current user, and that will be name. Otherwise, if the get current user is null, so let's add this else, what we want to do is to send the user to the login page. Just like that. At this point, it is pretty much ready. So we can actually run the user logged in page. And as you can see, it redirected us to the login page because there is no logged in user. And in here, let's use the same user that you created in the previous lecture. Select Remember Me, click Login. So now the user is logged in. We can close this page and then rerun user logged in page. And as you can see, we did not have to log in again. The application just greeted us by name. And this is one of the best demonstrations, I think the simplest one that I could think of to demonstrate how the persistent logins work. Something else that I'd like to add is that at this point, at this page, since there is a logged in user and we didn't have to run through the login, it's just it remembered it, you can still get to all the properties of the user object. the same thing that I demonstrated to you in the login page. And that was how to get to the properties of the user right here, how we get the name. You can get any other property from the currently logged in user. I hope you found this useful. I recommend repeating all the steps that I have demonstrated here, just so you have first-hand experience of running through exactly the same scenario. And the Remember Me option I think works quite well, and it's very handy, and your users will appreciate support for that feature in your applications. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, happy codeless coding.